distance. Okay. There's less distance for the bacteria to travel to the bladder. And also with the menopause, after the menopause, there's a decrease in the circulation of the estrogen that causes changes in the urinary tract. Next slide, please. Okay. Something popped up there. In reference to the complications, there are permanent kidney damage, a narrowing of the urethra in the men, and also blood infections. And when we talk about the blood infections, they're talking about the sepsis that is life-threatening complication of the infection. And this also is a risk if the infection travels through the urinary tract to the kidneys. And with the treatments are with the antibiotics. And this is a time when they have the antibiotics and with the medications there. This is a good time for caregivers. This is a good time for you to use your journal and also get with the pharmacist to discuss these issues with the antibiotics. And drink plenty of fluids, especially water. You also can drink cranberry juice. And when we talk about the good hygiene, that is very important too, because with women, you have to wipe when you go into the bathroom and cleaning yourself. You have to wipe from the front to the back. And also that if you are caring for someone that you have to give them a bath, you turn them over on their side and then you wipe again from the front to the back. And with the men, we're talking about the cleansing of the genital areas. Have the men to lie on their back. And if the man has not been circumcised, then what you do is you retract or pull down the foreskin and grasp the penis slightly there. And with a circular motion, you cleanse the tip of the penis all the way down to the shaft. And then you also clean the scrotum and rinse it off and dry it. And when you complete that, what you do is that you, on the uncircumcised man, what you do is that you put the foreskin back into its original position. Next slide, please. We will now talk in reference to hypertension. What is hypertension? Another word for hypertension, hypertension is also the high blood pressure. Hypertension means that there is the force, excuse me, it means that there is a force of blood that's being pushed against the sides of the arteries that we're constantly going back and forth, which makes the pressure rise. And with this rising of the pressure, it is out of the range. And when it is out of the range, that is hypertension. But you have to have your blood pressure checked multiple times, and then your physician will diagnose you as having hypertension. And the causes of hypertension, you have the plaque that builds up in the arteries, and that is the bad cholesterol, and that is the LDH. And excuse me, it also can concur during pregnancy. And some medications causes hypertension too. And with that, there's another chance, caregivers, that you can consult with your pharmacy in reference to what the medicines are that will cause them to have the raise their blood pressure. And some of the signs and symptoms of blood pressure, it could be headache, or it could be vision changes, but usually there are no noted signs of hypertension. So that is why it is called the silent killer. Next, we'll be discussing the risk factors. There are several risk factors. It has the age, the race, family history, obesity, you're inactive, you're not exercising a lot, tobacco use, sodium intake, alcohol, and there are a few others that you have unhealthy diets that can be controlled. And then you have the gender. And we come to the point of the complications of hypertension. And when hypertension is not under control, and it has not been treated. And there are many people who are walking around here who do not know that they are hypertensive. And some of the complications are stroke. And this caused when the blood vessels that supply oxygen and blood to the brain is clogged. It bursts loose. And next one is the vision loss. That vision loss is when the pressure has been built up into the eyes. The next one is heart attack. And with that, it damages the arteries that causes the narrowing of either the stiffening of the arteries. And you have the kidney, excuse me, you have the kidney disease. And this is when the kidneys are damaged and they cannot adds to the interference with their ability to effectively filter out the blood. And next you have the sexual dysfunction. And this is when in the male, it has the erectile dysfunction, and with the women, it has the lower libido. And there's also a couple of others too, peripheral artery disease. Now we go into the treatment of hypertension. There is no cure for hypertension, but it can be controlled. And the main thing is that with the hypertension, it is the lifestyle changes. And with the lifestyle changes, this is a good time. If you got poor diet, you can talk with a nutritionist. Medications, there are certain medications like the steroids and all that can cause the elevation. And this is another time that you can consult with the pharmacist. Take and monitor the blood pressure frequently. Ask your doctor how often you want you to monitor the blood pressure, and keep regular visits with your physician, and know your numbers. According to the American Heart Association here, they have guidelines for hypertension. And you have the high blood pressure categories. You have the normal, which is less than 120 millimeters per mercury. and also less than 80 millimeters of mercury for the diastolic. And the elevated is 120 to 129 millimeters of mercury, and less than 80 millimeters of mercury for the diastolic. And the hypertension stage 1 is 130 to 139 millimeters of mercury for the systolic, and for the diastolic is 80 to 89 millimeters of mercury. And hypertension stage 2 is greater than 140 millimeters of mercury systolically, and or diastolic greater than 90 millimeters of mercury. And in the hypertensive crisis, this is the time that you contact your doctor immediately. And the systolic is higher than 180 millimeters of mercury, and the diastolic is greater than 120 millimeters of mercury. And caregivers, these are the things that you can document in your journal about the person that you are caring for, or even if it's yourself. Any changes are better than no changes. Next slide, please. Next, we will go to the stroke. What is a stroke? A stroke is a medical emergency. Remember that it is a medical emergency that happens when the blood flows to the brain and is interrupted. And without the blood, the oxygen and nutrients, the brain cells starts to die. And this can cause serious symptoms, lasting disability, and even death. And some of the causes of some other signs and symptoms of the stroke. Let's get to the causes. Some of the causes of the stroke are blocked blood flow to the brain, and that is called ischemic attack, a stroke, or sudden bleeding in the brain. And this is where it has ruptured, and this is called hemophilia stroke. And also, there are other causes too. Now, the signs and symptoms of the stroke: balance, and with that balance, you lose your balance, and then you can have headaches and dizziness, and also you have your eyes where they might be blurred, or it could be in one eye or both eyes. And also you have your face, and one side of the face could be drooping. That's the sign of a stroke. And also there are sudden numbness of the face and the legs. And also you have the weakness of the face and arms and legs. And also too, if you know that a person is having a stroke, this is the time for you to act fast. And F means face. And look, if you have patient mouths droop like that, what you do is that you ask them to smile. And if they can't smile and it droops, that's a sign. And your arms, you have them to hold their arms up, and if it drops down, that's a sign of a stroke. And your speech, you listen to see whether it's slurred. And what you do is you have them to say little simple phrases. And if it's slurred and you can't understand it, that is a stroke. And the next thing is T, time. Time is an essence. It's an emergency. You call 911, and while you're doing that, you stay with the person. And also, this is a critical time. You have 3 hours, but some cardiologists say that the first 90 minutes is what is needed there in order for them to really help that person from having other further injuries there in reference to the stroke. That 3-hour range, but start time when you see the sign of the stroke, that's when you call 911. And the risk factors are high blood pressure, diabetes, heart attack, smoking, high cholesterol, and some of the complications are blood clots, seizures, and also depression. And you also have some memory loss, and some visual problems, and some muscle weakness, and also paralysis. Next. The treatment for strokes are medications. And here again, this is where your pharmacists come into play. And you have physical therapy, occupational therapy, and you also have speech therapy and counseling. And I would like to say too, if a person, you working with a person who has a stroke, let them do whatever they can do for themselves. Although they may be slow, but still you let them do whatever they can do for themselves. And also this is a time for you to document in the journal exactly what is being taken place, so that when you go to the doctor, you can give him or her an update as to the progress or degressing of that person that you are taking care of. And the next thing is diabetes. What is diabetes? Diabetes is an imbalance of glucose and also insulin in the blood. Insulin is a product by the pancreas and is responsible for transporting glucose molecules in the blood into the cells. And the normal range of the fasting blood sugar is 70 to 100 milligram deciliters. And there are two types of diabetes that we will be speaking about. And the first one is type 1. And this is in the early stages. And this is insulin dependent. And this is where the pancreas no longer produces insulin. And the second one is type 2. And this is the late onset. And it can be controlled by diet. And this is when the deficiency, it is deficient in the insulin production here. Next slide, please. With diabetes, there are, of course, signs and symptoms of diabetes. You have frequency of urination, excessive thirst, tingling and numbness, and you have dramatic weight loss, and you also have recurrent healing. If your skin cannot heal, and then it causes an infection. So that's one, that's another side effect there. And next slide, please. And here we have complications. Some of the complications are stroke, heart attacks, a peripheral neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy, and you have diabetic feet, and you have different eye diseases like glaucoma, cataracts, and you also, excuse me, with the blindness, and you also have problems with kidney damage and kidney failure. And also you have other complications like amputations. And that is really serious there. And like I said, the wounds that do not heal. And also in males, you have impotency and you also have a high risk pregnancy in women. Next slide, please. The treatment of diabetes. You have diet, and this right here is where you also check with your nutritionist that will help you formulate different type of meal patterns and all like that, and exercise and oral medications. Also, and the insulin. This is where you talk with the pharmacist. And also, one other thing that I would like to say in reference to some of the other causes would be the high blood sugar and the fats and the lack of like we said, exercises and the family history. Are there any questions? I hope that what I have said here today will help you to carry on as caregivers, because you caregivers are very important. You're very important to your families, and don't forget to take time out for yourselves.
All right, thank you, Ms. Washington. Great, thank you so much. So I hope you remember some of that information or some of the key points, because we do have a little. All right. Name the chronic illness known as the silent killer.
And that would be high blood pressure, hypertension.
Let's see. It is hypertension. All right. And so you are the winner of a $25 Amazon gift card provided by ID Tech Molecular. And do we have the representative on from ID Tech?
I am. Good evening, everyone.
All right. Good evening. I hear you, and I'm looking for you right now. Okay, I see you there, Clarence. Well, thank you so much for supporting our event today. And we're glad that you're able to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Can you see that, Carly?
It's coming.
Okay.
Okay, I see it. Yes. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Again, my name is Carly. I'm a registered dietitian, and today we're going to be talking about nutrition for the caregiver, but also nutrition for the people you are caring for. So I talk really fast, so let me know if I need to slow down. And there's a lot of information to get through today. If you can go to the next slide, please. Today's agenda, we will be defining nutrition and its benefits. We'll be identifying 4 nutrients for adequate nutrition. And we'll also be giving you some tips when it comes to meal planning. So nutrition is the process of providing or obtaining the food necessary for health and growth. It is the biochemical and physiological processes that happen into our body once we digest food, and how it breaks down and metabolizes it, and how it provides nutrients through the cells. Next slide, please. The benefits of adequate nutrition is that it makes sure that we have enough energy. We need energy to be caring for others and ourselves. When we have adequate energy, we have a quicker recovery time in anything, whether it's surgery or just a minor sickness. It can also improve your emotional and mental health, reduce infection as well. And you have stronger bones and muscles from, if you're taking enough nutrients like calcium and vitamin D. Can also help lower the risk of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. So a lot of the diseases that we've been talking about today, nutrition plays a key role in all of those conditions. Can also strengthen your immune system, and aids in weight management. So throughout the presentation, I'll be talking about what specific nutrients can help with all of these benefits when it comes to nutrition. Next slide, please. And I think we all have a caregiver story or journey. I was trying to put a picture of my son and me feeding him, but this picture here is of my 99-year-old grandmother. We went to go celebrate her birthday in April. Over a decade ago, she used to actually live with me and my family. So when I was in high school, she was living with us, and she slowly developed dementia over time. So, I think we all have a caregiver story, whether it's caring for a child or a grandparent, or if it's your profession. So how can we make nutrition a priority, not only for us, but for the people you are caring for? Next slide, please. And I just wanted to note that nutrition is a form of self-care. It sometimes can feel like a chore, there's a lot that goes into preparing food, but also look at it as a form of self-care. We just looked at the benefits of nutrition. You have more energy, better mood, overall better health. So look at it as a form of self-care. Okay, so just a quick comment for nutrition for the one you are receiving. When it comes to nutrition, I follow an individualized approach. There is no one size fits all when it comes to nutrition. We all have different needs, different lifestyles. So the information I'm giving today is more for general information. But like my other presenters have said today, I encourage you to communicate with your dietitian. With every facility, there should be a dietitian on staff. So I used to work in dialysis. Some of the caregivers would actually call me and ask me, what are some list of foods that my patient should be eating? What should I stay away from? How can I better improve their health? So using the healthcare team in all different areas to help to your advantage. So from a dietitian standpoint, we are just making sure that our client is eating enough and eating foods that are improving their conditions and optimizing their health. So challenges that come with someone you're caring for, especially in the elderly, is that they may have change in appetite. They may have difficulty chewing or swallowing or digesting food. There can be changes in taste buds, and also your thirst diminishes as well. So we're talking about that a little bit on thirst. And they're also less independent. So they may not verbally say what they actually want to eat. It may frustrate them that they can't prepare their own foods that they want to eat as well. So these are just some challenges around nutrition that they may be facing. You as the caregiver, like I said, it is an individualized approach, depends on person by person. And also, the level of care that you are caring for that person, how dependent are they? Do you have to feed them? What can they do for themselves that you may not have to do? So the most important thing is to eat adequately. So we're going to be talking about ways that the 3 nutrition adequacies to making sure that you are nourishing your body enough. And just some challenges that the caregiver has. There's a lot to think about. We talked about, medications, looking for the signs. You have a lot on your plate. So the challenges is lack of time and lack of energy. So if you don't have time to cook, go grocery shopping, clean, prepare the meal, eat yourself, it can be very exhausting. You can be very tired, and that can lead to depression and malnutrition and unintentional weight changes. You may gain weight because you don't have time to prepare meals yourself, that you're grabbing what is easily available, and those foods are typically more processed, higher in calories, and not as nutritious. So those are just some challenges that you may face. So what can we do about it? We're going to talk about the 3 nutrition adequacies. And the reason why I say adequacies is just making sure that you're getting enough of these nutrients. The top one is calories. Calories are so important. Typically, I think people think that they need to stay away from calories or be afraid of calories. Calories is just a form of energy. It is a unit of energy, and we get those calories from food. So if you're not eating enough, you're not going to have enough energy. If you're eating too much than you need, you may gain weight. So we want to have that nice balance in making sure that you're getting enough calories. Factors that play a role in your calorie needs. Again, this is individualized. It's going to be your age. Typically younger, your metabolism's faster, you're going to need a little bit more calories. Your physical activity level, that's going to determine your calorie needs. If you're working out very intensely, you're going to need to increase your energy. If you're more sedentary, you may want to lower it. The location of where you live, your environments, if you're in a hotter location versus colder location, or depending on the seasons, you burn more calories because you're sweating, just kind of sitting there. Just sitting there, you could burn calories compared to if you're cold. Of course, your medical conditions. If you have cancer or HIV or any other hypermetabolic condition like those, you need more energy because your body's working very hard. And if you have any aesthetic goals around weight, that can determine your energy needs. So that is the first nutrition adequacy. Next, we're going to go into the second one, which making sure you have adequate macronutrients. So I'm going to take a little bit on this second nutrition adequacy because there's just different parts. We look at macronutrients. Macronutrients are the major energy sources that our body uses. Carbohydrates being the #1 and preferred energy source our body uses. Carbohydrates are made up of sugars and dietary fiber. So carbs is something that we definitely need. Again, our brain uses it. It's the preferred choice of energy. Working with a dietitian, we can find your personal individualized needs when it comes to carbs, because it matters the amount that you're having and the types of carbs. We don't want all of our carbohydrates coming from the sweets and sugary beverages. We want it more from your whole foods like fruits, starchy vegetables like corn, potatoes, your beans, and dairy. Next slide. Protein. Protein is also a macronutrient. Protein is helpful in making sure that the benefits of nutrition that I mentioned, it helps with the recovery process. If you're sick, it helps build your immune system. It helps with recovery when you are working out for your muscles. So making sure you get enough protein is also vital. This is coming from your meats, your eggs. More plant-based proteins are beans, peas, lentils, tofu, soy foods. You could also get it from nuts, seeds, and Greek yogurt. Next slide, please. And then healthy fats. So healthy fats are also important. They're also a major energy source. Our body uses it for energy, to support cell function. It helps protect our organs and lubricates our organs and insulates our body, keeps us warm. And it helps absorb some nutrients and also produces certain hormones. And also it just makes food tasty, oils, butter, it makes food taste good. And then the last one is water. So like I mentioned, water is something as we get older, our thirst diminishes. So it's important that you're getting enough water, because what does water do? It helps regulate our body temperature. It keeps our skin, our eyes moist. It helps protect our body's organs and tissues. It's a big part of metabolism. So it helps carry out nutrients and oxygen throughout the body. And a test that we do, a physical kind of exam that you can do if you are a caregiver, is what we call the skin turgor test. So if you want to do it right now, just lift up your hands and you're gonna, at your wrist, you're gonna pinch it. And if it snaps back quickly, that means that you are well hydrated. But if it slowly goes back, that means that you might be dehydrated. So it's common in the elderly patients that you would do that, but you can do it on yourself. So if it snaps back, you want that snap back to make sure that you are hydrated. Another way, an easy way, is just looking at your urine, making sure that's a light pale color. You don't want it to be, you know, like a amber, dark brown color, or smelly as well. So you want to make sure that it's, you know, light pale, and shouldn't have any odor to it. So making sure you are getting enough water. And when you don't have enough water, that can lead to confusion, cramps, and it can be, you know, it can also lead you to the hospital as well. So making sure that you are staying hydrated. Some fun ways that I like to get in water is using a straw. You drink quicker when you use a straw. That can be a way for the people you're caring for, and even for yourself. Setting a timer, you know, I just see a lot of my clients that they're not getting enough hydration. So setting a timer can be helpful. Also, relying on hydrating fruits like watermelon, cantaloupe, cucumbers, vegetables, lettuce, tomatoes. So that first component of I'll get back into it. But let's go to the next slide. It's gonna help with this. So the third nutrition adequacy is making sure that you're getting a good amount of food groups. So the difference between food groups and macronutrients is it's like kind of like food categories. So a food can have multiple macronutrients. It can have protein, carb, and fat in it. Okay, so the food groups is just the categories of food versus macronutrients, just so you know the difference. So like I was saying, it's important to have a balance in your plate. And how you do that is making sure that you have, my rule of thumb is at least 3 food groups, okay? So it can be dairy, grains, protein is a food group. Yes, it's a macronutrient, but it's also a food group, which couldn't be confusing. And your fruits, vegetables is another food group. So it can be confusing, but knowing that the food groups are the categories and the macronutrients are just the energy source. And food groups can have different types of macronutrients. So I want to focus on the food groups because this is going to be helpful when you are creating meals for your patients or for yourself even. Having at least 3 food groups is going to help you be more satisfied in your meals. You know, sometimes you eat and you're just like, I'm still hungry. What was missing? So look for your carbohydrates, your protein, and fruits/veggies. Some of the vegetables that we eat are technically fruits. So like tomatoes, avocado, eggplant, they're all technically fruits. Anything with a seed in it is a fruit. So looking for at least 3 food groups on your plate to making sure that it's satisfying and that you're getting enough nutrients at a time. So carbohydrates, like I mentioned, can be dairy, grains, cereal, fruits, your starchy vegetables, protein listed there for you, and then fruits and vegetables. So if you've heard of, I'm sure you guys may have heard of, if not, My Plate is the USDA recommendation. So half of your plate should be fruits and vegetables, and then I just have the carbs and protein there for you. And then of course on the top, you should have some water. So this is going to be helpful in making a balanced plate, and just kind of a simple, I think some struggles that my clients have is like, they don't know what to eat. So if you just think about where's my carb, where's my protein, where is my fruit or vegetable, that can be really helpful in creating meals for you. So I want to just kind of go through these next couple of slides and do a little activity, and we'll see how, you know, these 3 components of carbs, protein, fruit/veggie can create a satisfying meal. So see here, you have your corn, and it looks like couscous. So that would be your carb. You know, you have your grains. Corn is a starchy vegetable. Technically, it's a grain. We treat it as a fruit, a vegetable. And then the couscous would be the grain too. And then you see the portion of the lettuce, looks like a salad there. You have your vegetable, and then you have your protein. Looks like it's like chicken or something. So you have your carb, your protein, your fruit slash vegetable there. This one, salmon would be what? That would be your protein, right? Your rice would be your carb. Then you have nice little salad, broccoli, peppers, technically a fruit, spinach, and avocado. So you have a nice balanced, satisfying plate there. Next slide. And then this is something, okay, I think something that confuses people with the plate. My plate is like, what does it look like when it's, soup or, like a curry dish or something? It's still, nutrition is not black and white, okay? So just know that you don't have to have exactly what is recommended on the My Plates. But here you have noodles, which would be your carbs. It looks like there's some mushroom in there, some veggies, some spinach, and then there could be a protein like chicken or shrimp in there for that. And then the last one is kind of like a Caribbean dish. You have rice would be your carb, right? And some plantains, looks like that's there. It would also be considered your carb. And then this dish actually, it looks like kind of like an okra dish with beef. So you have your vegetables mixed in there in your stews, especially a lot of Caribbean and African dishes. A lot of our stews, it's not going to have those sections of the plate, can all just be mixed in there, and that's okay. So it looks like there's probably okra, some spinach in there, maybe some onions. That's going to count towards your fruits and vegetables. Then you have your protein. So I hope that's helpful. I have one more. I didn't know I did another one. So this could be like a little snack or a quick breakfast. Your toast would be your carb, right? And then the avocado would be your fruit slash. It's also a healthy fat. And then your egg would be the protein. Okay. So I really hope this is helpful when you're trying to figure out what should I make, what should I have prepared. Think about those three categories: your carb, protein, fruits, and veggies. All right. So really eat with intention and mindfulness. I just want to leave you some quick tips here. So plan ahead. Planning, there's so many things we got to think about, whether it's on a Sunday or the morning of. Plan ahead what you're going to eat, what you're going to prepare for yourself, for the person you're caring for. Use your resources. Who can help you, who can assist you. What equipment do you have that's going to make things easier? Do you have blender? Do you have a crock pot that you can just put it on and let it cook? Again, utilize your healthcare team. There should be a dietitian on staff. Ask them, what do you have a sample meal plan, so you have an idea of what you should be providing for yourself or the person you're caring for. Recipe books are also great. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Can someone else do something else? Can someone do the grocery shopping for you? Can someone clean up after you're done cooking? Can they do other activities like laundry or another resource is, have you guys heard of Meal Train? So a Meal Train is something that, you have one designated person each day of the week provide you a meal. So that's one less thing you could think about. So having, family members have those meals prepared for you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It is okay. Lean on convenience. That means look at foods that are simple, easy to make. Can it be canned foods? Can it be frozen foods that are easy to just whip up? I would just say it's also important to have a nutrition education, reading your nutrition labels in those aspects, because those foods can be high in sodium. Your salt. Can you lean on, nutrition supplement drinks when you are in a pinch and you don't really have time to eat, just to get some kind of nutrition in. I'm a fan of, small meals, because, you may not have time to eat. So having, snacks every 2 to 3 hours may be a good idea. So when it comes to your nutrition goals, start small. You don't have to do all or nothing. Like, I'm going to go vegan. I'm going to, fast, just start small. Are you just having breakfast? Going back to the 3 nutrition adequacies, are you eating enough? Are you getting enough macronutrients? Or do you have enough food groups in your day to ensure that you're getting different nutrients? So start small. Are you drinking enough? Always a good rule of thumb I like this thing is always think about what you can add rather than remove from your nutrition. We always want to take away. What do I have to take away? What can you add to your nutrition? We looked at the 3 components. If you're just having cereal in the morning, can we add an egg to that? Can we add some fruits to it? Think about what you can add so you can make sure you're eating enough. We don't want to get malnourished. And get back to the basics. Starch, veggie, protein. just get back to the basics. And variety. The variety in our diet ensures variety of nutrients. So variety in color, even the variety in whatever it might be. If it's variety in your milks, right? There's so many different types of milks now. There's oat milk, there's almond milk. So have variety in your seeds. And that will just overall ensure different nutrients. I do have a resource for you guys. You can scan the barcode, meal planning guide. So there's resources, kind of how we talked about with each food groups to help you. There's a template that you can use to plan out your meals for the week, and a grocery list that you can write out your groceries. Okay, and my last thing is nutrition is a habit created over time. So, what are you doing most of the time? Do you want to start having breakfast? Start having breakfast, plan it, and just kind of make it an ongoing thing. It does take time to make these changes. So that's why I said start small, do something simple, just so it is sustainable. And again, work with your healthcare team to make sure that you are doing it the right way, and just kind of, instead of guessing, am I doing it right? All right, so just recapping, we defined what nutrition is and its benefits. We talked about the 3 nutrition adequacies: calories, macronutrients, food groups. We talked about the 4 macronutrients: carbohydrates, protein, fat, water. And I gave you some quick nutrition tips. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for having me. Let me know if you have any questions, and you can contact me through here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. A thumbs up, a round of applause.
Yes.
We appreciate it, Carly. What a great piece of information, just lots of good information. And I just can't express how impressed I am that everything just flowed together. And it just really, the key components of what you need on a day-to-day basis for your caregiver, for your family caregiver journey, were all discussed today. It looks like in our community, people were responding with some of the comments. Venus says, I've learned a few tricks to trick mom into some compliance. I switched the sugar in the sugar bowl to monk fruit sweetener, for example, sugar-free sauces, barbecue sauce, salad dressing, ketchup, and desserts. My mom has a sweet tooth. I didn't tell her I was switching, and now she doesn't know the difference, right? And so sometimes we have to be creative in what we do versus announcing everything that we do. But this was a great discussion. Thank you all so much. And I hope you all didn't forget our last speaker's wonderful information, because we are going to do our last trivia question.
Before you do that, can I make one quick comment? It's very rare that we see men taking the role as caregivers. And since my journey, I've encountered quite a few young brothers that actually have fallen into this role and and I'm in the process of trying to do a conglomerate where we can just get together and write our stories. So I just want to encourage you and to say thank you from one brother to another, say thank you for stepping up, even to whatever degree of capacity that you're doing so. It's very necessary. I just want to applaud you.
Okay, so here's the question. What is name the number one energy source that our body uses?
Is it calories?
Close.
Let's
It's in that bar that said
carbohydrate.
All right, let's see. Yes, that is the correct answer. Carbohydrates. Yay. So congratulations.
I did take notes.
You did. And now you are the winner of a $25 gift card. So congratulations, and thank you to ID Tech Molecular Labs again. Clarence is here. Thank you, Clarence. We appreciate you supporting us. And did you just want to say a couple of words here to our audience?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I would like to say what everyone was speaking on, from the UTI to medication management to the nutrients, What they all have in common is lab work, because I had to get the lab work to get the right medication for the patients. And what ID Tech, I don't want to sound like a commercial or anything. What ID Tech, what we do is we go to the patient home or place of employment to draw those labs. We pretty much get those labs back to the physician within 24 to 48 hours. I pretty much cover the whole state of Georgia, which I love. I love taking care of people in their time of need because, like the gentleman before, I had to take care of my mom. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. So on the weekends, from 2015 to 2018, on the weekends, I would go over and take care of my mom, give my siblings a break. So my wife and my son would just pack up for the weekend, head over there to spend time with my mom and everything, which it wasn't no burden for me. Sometimes she would get mad at me because I'm leaving Sunday, so I had to drive back Sunday evening, and she would cry. She knew I was a big-hearted person. I would wait till she'd go to sleep, so we might not leave until 3 o'clock Monday morning to drive back. So we're gonna have a couple hours for my son to get a nap, get him back up for him to go to school. And then I head out to work, and she used to call me and just shoot me, why you left me? And I was like, well, Mom, I had to go to work and my son had to go to school. So, but yes, I love what I do. I love helping taking care of people in their time of need. And this is my calling for that. So with ID Tech, like I said, we go to the patients, like during the pandemic where COVID is real bad. And when you go into the doctor's office, you didn't know who you would sit next to, what they had. And then they changed. So they said, well, somebody can sit here, a space, sit here. And then they changed again where you had to sit in your car. But what we did was we would go to the patient. So the patient's in the comfort of their home. We'll go in there 15 minutes, draw their labs for blood or urine, COVID swab, wound, or even CDF. So, and that way the patient's more safe and less to catch anything that way, because we'll come in, glove, gown, mask, and that's what we do over here at ID Tech Molecular Lab, and that's it.
Well, thank you, Clarence. I appreciate your support. And when I talk about a community of providers, Clarence is definitely in that community. He truly cares about what happens to the clients that he works with and just our community in general. So he's always supported what we've done. And from his own personal testimony, you can truly see how much he cares about what he does. And I've trusted him to even do labs for my own dad. So when he's coming to visit into town, and if someone has had to do labs, I've called him to help me with that. So again, thank you so much for always supporting us.
You're welcome.
All right, so this is our wrap up. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us. This has been such a great discussion, such great information. But this is just the second of 5 series. So please continue to join us. Each week we're doing that in celebration of Family Caregiver Month this month. And so the QR code, you can click on our website and you can register for the rest of the sessions that we have. Also, we have a podcast that's out there now. You can certainly listen to past episodes of the podcast as well. I do want to share, we're excited that we will begin to offer some scholarships to family caregivers called our Care Grant. So our first is James and Mary Alice Johnson Care Grant. It starts at $250. This is for adult family caregivers who are caring for those of all ages. Generally someone with disability, long-term care issues or challenges. And so the funds may be used to pay for respite care for you, to give yourself a break. So to pay a professional caregiver to come in and help support you, and Call for Caring will pay that by support of our donors. The other grant is the James D. Bolden grant, which is for young people. We are missing that niche of caregivers 14 to 20. They do exist. And so we want to focus on them a little bit and help them out. And so there are grants that start at $250 for them as well. Funds can be used the same way for respite care, but they can also be used for advancing themselves in education and career development. Sometimes where we are in the current situation kind of detours us from thinking that we can go further. Is this where I'm going to be in life? And we want them to know, no, this is only a part of your journey and you'll get through it as well. And we do have a day dedicated to just young family caregivers on November the 28th. Called Young, Gifted, and Caregiving. And so if you know high schoolers, college-age students who are caring for a loved one, we've created something especially for them. And I want to acknowledge our Call for Parent Advisory Board. That should be ID Tech for their sponsorship today. Gwendolyn Washington, who was also part of kind of creating this general course, and then our volunteers who just support us along the way of our events. This is our QR code for our next event, Dementia 101. We will have Second Wind Dreams, who is an expert in dementia education. They will talk about, defining what dementia is, giving some caregiver tips. How do I help with that bath? How do I get them to eat? Those type of tips that are so important for us to manage our loved ones with dementia. And then they're going to do somewhat of a virtual experience. Now, if you've ever done the virtual DBT experience where you garb up as though you have dementia, the senses of dementia, they're going to recreate something in a virtual space for us. So I encourage you to join us for that. You can register now through that QR code, or you can simply go to our website as well. And so this concludes our session. It was such great information. Mrs. Shields, I look forward to you connecting with me. If anyone else has any questions they want to ask individually, you can also reach out to us as well. And I am going to ask that you complete our survey today. And so our survey kind of gives us feedback on what you've learned today, and then hopefully that it helped. So we'll allow for you to stay on for a few minutes, enjoy a little music, complete the survey. I'm also going to put it in the chat box as well. So if you can't hit the QR code, I'll add it to the chat box. And thanks again. You all have a wonderful evening. I want to say a special thank you to our fabulous speakers again today as well. Thank you, and we hope to see you next Tuesday.